Hi everyone, welcome back. Got some interesting developments in the garage at the moment. I'm gonna show you what they are. First of all, the little Sontes 125 that was there, I've sent that to a shop to get the rear brake sorted. Ideally that would be done today. It's something I could have done in the long run. I could have ordered the new parts. I just didn't have the time. But check this out. Right, what do we notice that's different? Okay, so basically yesterday I swapped the Suzuki SV 650 for two Suzuki GS 500s, one of which, that's 141, we worked on the channel not that long ago. Louis brought it down. He was using it for his under £500 challenge, but they've been causing way too much trouble, the bikes, not Louis. So I did a straight swap, which is great. You know, these are great bikes. These deserve to be fully serviced and put back on the road. Someone's going to love them. I absolutely love the fact that they're a pair. Look, W741, W742 BTW. I love that, and I would love for them to go as a pair to a couple or someone. I'd really enjoy that. I'd sell them a bit cheaper for them to go to a couple or something, but obviously I need to get them up and running, riding, and look at what's going on. So let's pull them out and kind of talk over it a little bit. So this one I don't know much about, guys. This is the 42 bike. It doesn't run or ride as far as I'm aware. I don't think the ignition even... Oh, hang on, there is some battery. Yeah, I mean, I need to have a good look over that to see what's going on. I don't even know if it's running any oil at the moment. But, yes. So, I don't know much about this bike. The good thing about having two identical bikes is you can use them, you can bounce them off each other in regards to ideas and what's going on, and the petrol routing and stuff, which we slightly struggled with last time. Anyway, I don't know if the front light came. It may have. I kind of just dumped loads of bits in. I'm a bit like that when people just dump it all in and see what's there and see what's not. But yes, so ideally I'd love to get this running today. I'd love to get them both just started and running. That would be my kind of #1 thing to do. Everything else is easy. Obviously we've got a lever problem here that's very easy to achieve, as in to swap over. I have no idea. This can't all be lighting. Some of it indicators. That's the lighting indicators. To be fair, that is just the front wiring harness. That is kind of done and easy to do, and that's there. Apart from that, rear tyre looks a bit square. It could just be flat. It could just need a pump. There seems to be plenty of tread on it. Front tyre seems okay. I'm going to check MOT wise. One of these bikes has an MOT, so was run fairly recently, and one hasn't had an MOT for years and years. I'm not sure which one that was. I like the roll cage. They're always good to have, especially as I'm considering putting some kind of Renpho bars on here if I can work out if I can drill them through, or if they're just caps, or however that works. I want to look into that, and putting some uprights on. So that would be a bit more of a kind of Street Fighter bike, which is great. Front disc looks fine, brakes look fine. Single-sided disc, is it? Single-sided disc, yeah. But it's only a 500. Let's get out this other one and see what's going on in there. So, second bike, 40, I thought this was 42, 41. We've seen this bike, we've worked on this bike, we've heard it running, it's had oil changes, it's been serviced, it's had the works done. It's not starting up at the moment. So where were we? So this bike generally runs and rides and does all of that. Starts up, except the battery's completely flat at this stage. Apparently some new fuel line will sort that out, so I'm going to kind of start taking this apart I just want to hear it running. It also has an oil leak somewhere down here, which I believe will be the seal in here. May potentially. Sometimes people think there's oil leaks and there's not. Stuff like chain flicker, if you've greased the chain recently, it flicks up in that area and then it leaks down slowly over time. So I'd have to see the leak literally to be able to see what it is. They told me this has been welded on at some point. I have no idea why you'd do that. I would have to get that off. I'd have to get that off to be able to work on that. So I'll look into that somehow. I'm going to see if there's a leak, where it's coming from, what's going on in regards to that. Obviously we've got this Kawasaki. Now I did loads of videos recently on this that I didn't even upload because it was driving me nuts. Basically I upjetted it again to 102 and that didn't work. So it was running much better earlier on 101s. Although the carbs are now sealed, so it's not, you know, it's not leaking. There's no fuel all over the floor. So I think throwing the hundreds back in should resolve all of the issues. The new AirPod designs that I've done here, and this tape was just where the glue dried. I can take that off and then I'll be fully full timing them in, so they're stuck in full time. I strongly believe that throwing in the 100 main jets now, the carbs are sealed, the new floats have done the job. It should just come together, it should just warm up, and it should just be a normal bike. It should then just be about me chucking everything back together and MOTing it. It obviously needs a rear tyre, which is pricey, 150 quid. But this bike should sell for around £1,200 and someone's going to get a great bike. So that's all good. But you know me, I get excited, so I want to I'm going to plug away at these two and just see what's going on. I'd love to get one started, maybe that one, because we've already had it started. Okay, so I found the problem. Second earth wire off the battery fell off, simple. I don't know if you heard that, there's quite an engine knocking sound there. I did check the oil. I'm going to start it up from here, try and get it to idle. Let's see if we can hear that. To be fair, it's revving fine and it doesn't seem to be lacking on power, so it may just need fresh oil. But let's have a listen. So it's still needing choke at the moment, but if you listen to that knock, that is potentially bottom end knock, and potentially a game changer. In regards to this bike running and riding well. Okay, so yeah, that's not sounding too healthy at all at this stage. Is that engine knock? I don't know what that is. I've had noises like that before, and they're not overly, they kind of disappear after the oil circulates or so on. And some engines just are a bit louder than others. The oil seems okay. I mean, it could be low, it could be not thick enough oil, you know, there could be other things going on. It does seem quite thin, but it also seems quite fresh. It does seem quite thin. If I have enough oil, I'm going to give this an oil change. It also wouldn't idle yet, so that's something I kind of need it to do, just idle for a few minutes to get it warm and to see what's going on. Sometimes you get an engine knock if the the revs are so low that it's just kind of ticking over, and it's a bit better with a decent idle. So let's see, I'm going to see if I can get it idling. So it's idling, but let me switch this one off. So it's idling, but look at this, look, I'm not touching it. Watch. Up. And then it'll drop down in a minute. And then it'll go back up. So obviously there's something else going on there, there's bigger problems on this one. Now we just need one running bike to make up some money, so that one I don't believe has run in a long time. It's definitely not been on the road, and since, I mean, well, from what little research I did, it's had no MOT ever, so that would be at least 2008. That's when it all became published online, so I have no idea what's going on with this one. I'm gonna pop the tank, pop the carbs, give them a quick clean, see what's going on, throw them back on, see if we can get it started, see how that goes. At the moment I could definitely turn the key, there's battery and there's power in that, it doesn't start. Unless the fuel switched off, I'll check that first. So I think it's best, there's no fuel in this tank anyway, so it's best to, I'm gonna whack these carbs off. What I'll do is actually I'll get some fresh fuel and chuck it in just in case. I think Louis said he might have done these carbs. What I'm doing now is just looking at the fuel system there. So you've got them two, and they go down to these two here, and then one pipe comes out of the back of here and goes to the bottom of the carb. So two from the tank down to there, one out to the bottom of the carb. Kind of unnecessary system. It just gives you a fuel shut off switch. I might just go back to the single like we've done on the other one for now. That might just save a load of problems, although that also could be what's causing problems. Actually no, there's 4 pipes on here. There's one at the back and there's one, where's that one going to? So the bottom one is, so the bottom one on here is the top one on here. So the second one appears to be this one. So I have no idea where that one's going. Oh, I'm gonna have to check all this out. At the moment I'm gonna get some fresh fuel. I think I've got a little bit actually. I'll chuck it in, see if we fire up, see how we go from there. Okay everyone, so bike 2, I've simply put some fuel directly down into the carbs. There's no air filter, let's fire it up. It should kind of still start. It won't sound good at all, but it won't necessarily run very well because the airbox isn't on. Should start. So straight away that sounds very good, that one. It starts, it's idling, it's revving itself up. But again, it hasn't got the airbox on. Let me, I'll try and slip the airbox on. These old airboxes are so awkward, but I'll try and throw that on, and then we'll look at how it starts, rides and runs then, because this could be the hero bike. And then I'll just swap the best parts of that onto here, like the front headlight and that rear side panel and so on and so on. And we'll make this the hero bike. So as we know, these airboxes are a right pain to get on. This one's kind of half on, the bottom's not sealed. This one is not on at all, but we're just kind of restricting the airflow to see if it runs a bit better. So let's see how that goes. Yeah, so that's obviously the bike to save. This is going to be the key bike because it doesn't have an engine knock and it all seems okay. What I'll do is at this stage I'll whack off them carbs, just check them out, just go over them thoroughly and try and get that airbox on from the outside appropriately. If that's doable, then we should be good to go on this one. Chuck it all back in, chuck it all back together, put the best parts of that bike on this bike. Because look, the front light on that bike's all nice, isn't it? And this bike hasn't got the handlebars all gone. So I don't know about the front brake. Back brake, I don't know if it even works. So we can just take all the good parts off this one. This one's just kind of, we worked much more on this one, and so did Louis and his uncle. So take all the good parts of this one, put it on that one, and get one good running bike for someone ready to go. Great, so carbs off, quick, clean, or just carbs off to put on the airbox properly, either way. Okay guys, so the box was all kind of loose around here, so I've had to kind of do a double filter system for now, where I've kind of squeezed in an extra filter on the end of the pods to secure it all, but it is in there and it is solid. Let's see how the bike sounds, starts. Let's have a look. So that's great, I can hear it's fine, no problems at all, no weird movements. of the needle. So this will kind of run and ride down the road now. Problem I've got here is I don't think the back brake works. In fact, the back brake is locked on. Is it? And the front brake lever isn't there. So I'd at least need one brake to test on this, but this is kind of the bike to work on at the moment. The engine is a good engine. So yeah, so absolutely worth doing. That's going to run out of fuel in a minute, so don't worry about that. I'm going to swap over the rear panel, the right one, from that one. That one's in better condition. And then obviously the headlight. And I've got a new shroud for this in there somewhere. It came with the bike. But you can hear that engine, that's a good engine. Compared to that engine was bad. So this is the bike to be, really. I might throw my sink. I'm going to throw my sink on there in a bit, just to make sure they're close to being synced. In fact, I'm going to do that now. It's just quick and easy. And apart from that, I'm going to be putting this back together, trying to put on a front brake lever. I'll just switch it over from this one and hope that the mechanism all works. It may not. It may need a proper service. If I've then got a front brake, I will still have to free off the rear brake, won't I? But that's fine. I'll free off the rear brake as best as I can. Yeah, it's rock solid. Isn't that weird? Oh, hang on. There's a tiny bit of movement there. I'll pop that off if I'm going to do a test ride. I mean, that will need to be sorted anyway. So yeah, let me get the synchronizer on there. Just make sure they're, you know, as balanced as can be. So same process as before. It's fairly warm. There's a sync screw in the middle. Let's see how balanced it is. Yeah, they're fine. They were close enough. Maybe a tiny tweak, but not even necessary. Alright, great. Rear panel here. Fuel tank. Rear brake freeing. Front brake working. Let's start looking into all of that. Okay, so the lever swap's very easy. It's you take the nut off underneath here, you unscrew the top and you switch the lever over. That's over here now on this bike. The front brake has engaged, so it does have a front brake. It will definitely need a service before it goes for MOT at some point. I haven't even checked which bike has MOT at this stage. I'd be laughing if it was this bike. That would be great. So this is the 42 bike. I'm going to check that in a minute. All I'm doing now is taking this panel off and switching it with that one because that's in better condition. Because we want one nice decent running bike at this stage. And decent looking as well, so that's very simple. So we've got a front brake. The back brake is still stiff, but I only want to test the bike up and down, so I'll whip that brake off and see what I can do. And yes, I'm going to swap these panels very quickly. Okay, so that was quite quick, guys. There you go. Panel swap. I'm going to throw that panel back on that side because I just don't want it to be in pieces at the end. Annoyingly, that's the bike that's MOT'd, I believe. Bit of a pain, but not the end of the world. This bike should be able to pass. Okay, so where were we? So this one's kind of fine now, although the rain's just come along and it wouldn't start up. I think it's just all a bit wet. Yeah, so I'll give that battery a good charge, but this is running fine now and riding fine. What I've done is, well, I say riding fine, but I've only tested it on the stand. Rear caliper's off. See that? It needs new brake pads, and it needs a good service, but these pins at the moment are stuck solid, so I'm trying to work out how to get them off. But the bike runs and rides fine, so that's good. I rode it on the stand, I put it in gear. Now this bike runs and rides as well. I had a quick look over the carbs. No major issues there, except one of the choke cable wasn't connected, so it was half choking. So when I was trying to warm the bike up, one of the carbs was choked and one wasn't. That's solved now. The bike starts, runs and rides and seems okay. However, I believe this coil is a bit weak, or the wiring, or something in between. So I'm going to order a new coil set for this bike and new spark plugs, so that we're fresh, because it's a bit spitty. You know, like Nat's bike last week was backfiring weirdly. Nat's bike cleared out after a little while, and this one didn't. It just kept spitting and kicking back weirdly. So I'm going to change them coils and make sure it's a good strong spark. If it still has that weirdness, the regulator might need changing. That's this over here. So I can't do much more on this one this week. But like I said, this one starts, runs and rides, but it needs new brake pads on the rear, and I'm going to have to order them. And I need to throw that battery on charge. So yeah, I think I'm going to spend a little bit of time. I've got to whip off these carbs tonight, and I need to down jet them at this stage, so to see if that becomes a normal running bike, because it wasn't running very well. Oh, I don't even know if it will start up. Let's have a look. Yeah, so it's just not running great. So I want to pop the carbs off, change the jets back down to 100s. They're 102s at the moment, and try and get this running as well as it was in the last video that we did, where it was running well. And if that's the case, we can start buttoning up this one. It's got a logbook, and it's kind of, it needs a rear tyre, but it will generally be ready to go. So yeah, so let's have a look. These, I think I'll tuck these away in the back of the garage. So my list for today is new coils for that one, possibly a new regulator just so I know it's done, new spark plugs, I've got a picture of what they are, new front headlight for this one, new rear brake pads for this one. What are the front pads like? Don't know. And that's kind of it for now. I mean, it's going to be a while waiting for this logbook anyway. It's going to be a 4 to 6 weeker, so there's no rush at all at this stage. So yeah. Okay everyone, so I've jumped projects. All I'm doing from here is removing this 102 and switching back to 100 in each carb, obviously. And then I strongly feel like this should be a good running bike. That's kind of the last piece of the puzzle. So I've got my fingers crossed. Let's see how that goes. So I've down jetted them carbs now, guys, back to 100. I'm going to leave you hanging, actually. I'm going to fire this bike up tomorrow. I'm packing up for today. I've spent a long day on the 2 Suzukis, which, I don't know if I caught it properly on camera, but they both ran okay. The engine on that one, the bottom end kind of knocking noise we heard earlier, was simply that the right bank wasn't really firing. There was a spark there, but it wasn't sparking enough. So new coil needed for that at least, maybe a regulator. I would have said that. That bike's running and riding perfectly, but it's missing loads of stuff. The rear brake is seized, front brake seized, needs a front headlight, needs this, needs that. and I want to convert both of these to Renthal bars, but obviously I need to get them running properly first. Yeah, so that's all going back in. This tomorrow should be throw the AirPods on, and yeah, it should be throw the AirPods on, and then that's kind of it really. It should be okay. But how many times have I said that up until now? And it never is. But to be fair, this is the setup we had. The air fuel screws are 2.5 out, and the main jets are 100. That's 2 up from the original 98. It just should run and ride. There's no reason why it shouldn't. Let's see tomorrow on that one. Thanks for watching as always. The Benelli giveaway is going very well. Something like 88 nominations at this stage. Still less than I expected, but that kind of made life easier. I'm still not sure how I'm going to do the draw. I'm getting lots of advice on it. I was going to kind of pick the kind of what I felt was maybe the 10 or 20, what I felt was the better nominations, but I'm trying to decide whether that's fair or not, or whether it should just all go into a hat and be picked and so on. So yeah, listen, give me some advice on that, guys. I know I want the bike to go to someone who deserves it. I'm going to check all the stories that we've got already. I'm going to be talking to people in the next week or two about their stories, so that we're not giving it away to a less deserving person. Yeah, basically. So yeah, tomorrow I'll be looking at this, trying to fire it up, see how that goes. What's the deal with that one? No, I'm going to be waiting for spark plugs and coils. That one's fine, I'm just charging the battery. I'll service the front brake tomorrow potentially, and get the rear brake serviced and ready for new pads. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for watching as always, and keep your eyes open, because I'm going to be doing quite a lot more work on these Suzukis. I really like them. I love the fact that they're a pair, love the fact that they're number 41 and 42, and I'd love for them to go as a pair to someone in the end, obviously as good running bikes with MOTs.